Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction. Welcome to our Renovating Old Homes series. This is going to be a series of mini episodes about renovating old homes. Episode number 1 is going to be regarding piers and beams. This is the foundation of these old homes. And when I say old homes, I'm talking about homes that were built prior to 1960. There's a couple characteristics of these homes that you can expect that we're going to lay out in this series. And the first one is their foundation. A lot of them are not going to be built on a slab like most houses today are going to be built. A lot of them are going to be actually raised off the ground with a crawl space underneath their floor, and they're going to be built on what's called a pier and beam system. What that means is there's going to be a bunch of piers stuck down into the ground, and there's going to be a bunch of beams laid out that are actually supporting the floor underneath that. So there's a couple things you need to consider definitely when you're thinking of buying a house like this, and then even more so when you're thinking about renovating it. The first is a lot of the piers tend to be built out of brick, and they can degenerate over time if there's a lot of lateral movement to the structure. If there's been a lot of large renovations, or if it's in an area with a lot of street traffic or heavy trucks drive down the street, and those bricks get vibrated, they can get vibrated loose over, you're talking decades. Like if a house was built in 1950, it's 70 years old now, 71 now that we're in 2021. So those can get loose and shuffle, but they hold weight. No one pier falling is going to make the whole house fall, but you can start getting sagging floors if they start getting shifted. So the way that those have to be repaired is you have to go underneath the house. You have to lift up the beam until the floor is level, and then you have to pull out the old pile and put in a new concrete pile, or you could do a wood post, but it's more common to do a block pile down into a concrete footing. So that's one thing that you might see. The other thing that you can see is over time the actual beams can warp. Now this is a little bit less common. Usually you see the issues are in the pile, but over time sometimes those beams can warp. If there's a lot of load on them over time, they can actually get bowed permanently to where even jacking up the beam won't do it, because once wood gets dried and hardened in a certain position, moving it will actually crack it, and it loses its plasticity over time as it dries out. So that's an issue you can run into as well. The final thing is realize that when you're dealing with that type of construction, going underneath the home is actually easier. So if you need to move a bathroom or you're moving plumbing, it's actually easier to do that in an old home that's built on a pier and beam system than it is on a house with a slab, because there's no slab to cut up and trench. So that is actually a plus to renovating these type of homes around that pier and beam floor construction. And now the other thing that I wanted to have you keep in mind, and this is more on the purchase side, but it's also relevant to renovations. If you have a contractor doing work on a house like this, the thing to keep in mind is that when those were built, there was not requirements for strapping a house down for uplift, because in the event of a high wind, a hurricane or a high wind event, your house can actually get lifted, and that's a very bad thing, because if something goes up, then it comes back down, and it's not made for that. So a lot of the times the piers and the beams will not have a strap tying them together. So one thing that you can do that should actually decrease your homeowner's insurance and will definitely make the structure safer in a windstorm or high wind event is actually having a contractor install straps, either twist straps or LTUSs, which is just the long straight straps you can do, or buckets, any type of straps that an engineer could specify to actually attach the post to the beam, that pier to the beam. You want a metal strap or fastener actually attaching those so that it prevents that uplift from happening, and so that those two pieces don't separate, because if they separate, when they come back down together, it's not going to be pretty. So that is your pier and beam construction in a nutshell. This is episode 1 of 7 that we're going to do in this mini series on renovating old houses. We've had a lot of experience doing this recently, so I've got it fresh in my mind. I want to get these learnings out to you so that they actually help you in your renovation projects. If you have, and by the way, we're in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, so we don't see a lot of these. I mean, personally, we are seeing a lot of these right now, but it's a less common construction feature than maybe somewhere up in New England or something like that, where every house might be built like this. So if you have a specific remodeling question about remodeling an old house or about remodeling in general, I'd love to hear it and to answer it in a video. Please send that question to homeloveconsruction@gmail.com and I'll be happy to make a video answering your specific question. Obviously, if you have a project you'd like a same-day estimate on, also send that to homeloveconsruction@gmail.com and we'll have someone from our estimating team contact you to schedule your free same-day estimate. So with that said, I appreciate you watching. See you in episode number 2, where we're gonna talk about the wood frame walls in old houses. Appreciate your attention. See you in the next video. Peace.